Even though people say, okay, I hate 9 to 5 and I'm going to be an entrepreneur. If you hate 9 to 5, don't become an entrepreneur. You are working 24/7, right? All 365 days. We tend to do this mistake of not talking about our ideas with people.
Very important.
Right? Yeah. We think, okay, they are going to steal it. I can't tell you my idea. You are going to do it. That is BS, right? So you have to talk about your idea with people, then only it gets refined. I think if I did my first steps right, that was one thing that I did right.
Welcome to another episode of GEPic Journeys. Today we have someone special, someone who revolutionized the gift-giving industry. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the co-founder of Thyaga, Sachin.
Hi.
Welcome to GEPic Journeys, Sachin.
Hi. Thank you for having me here. Thank you very much.
Worries. Before we get into your story, before we get into our topics, can we know who Sachin is?
So Sachin is someone who wanted to create things from my small days, I would say. So for most part of my education, I studied at Nalanda College, and then I went to do a software engineering degree that was at APIT, affiliated to Staffordshire University. And straight after that, I went to working for a US Sri Lankan software firm. So what I think drove me, or what drives me yet, or what excites me the most would be creating things. So I think I created my first website when I was about maybe less than 15 years old, and ever since then I've been wanting to do things, and that's what, if I look back, that is probably what kind of made me become an entrepreneur, or a tech entrepreneur also. So during school I was involved in not really a lot of tech things inside school, but maybe a lot of organizations and taking leadership positions in those. And even when I came to industry, I was kind of almost leading a team. And within a very short time, I got into that position. So that's what, what drove me, even in the industry, was the ability to create things as a software engineer. I think that's a blessing, a lot of software engineers have. You get to see what you create, and you get to make an impact. So that's me.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So now we'll move on to Thyaga.
Yes.
The brand you co-founded, the revolutionary product that you came up with to change the whole gift-giving industry, I would say, in Sri Lanka. How did it come about? How did you lay in the foundation for Thyaga? What made Thyaga happen? Let us know.
So since APIT, when we were in APIT also, we kind of went to these hackathons, ideathons and things like that. So one of the key turning points for me and for my other co-founder also was that we back then won one of the biggest hackathons that was in Sri Lanka. I still think that's the biggest one yet. So that's called Slit Code Fest.
Oh, right.
So we were the first team ever to win that from APIT. I think I can be corrected, right? So with that, we actually had it kind of inculcated in us that we can do a change as software engineers. So we then kept on thinking about things all these new ideas and all of that. Wanted to actually do something ever since then, do something unique and cool that would actually make a difference in the society and in Sri Lanka. So with that, I was in the software industry, and so one day we had a secret Santa party at office. Right? So with that, I got a gift voucher from one of these very upmarket clothing places, and this gift voucher was the one that actually put the seed thought in me. Because with this gift voucher, I thought, okay, this wasn't a gift voucher that I would like say, if I was to spend that money, this isn't the shop that I would go and spend that money in. So I was thinking, why wasn't this a gift voucher that I can use at wherever I want to go to, right? Rather than going to that clothing store, why can't I go to a cafe and spend time and like say maybe with friends? Why can't I go to a grocery store where I like say like a supermarket where I would usually go to? So that was the seed thought. I was thinking, now just because somebody gave me a gift voucher to this particular clothing store, I would have to go there. But what would really make me happy is if I had the ability to go wherever I actually want to go to. That was it. So with that, so one of the key differences in with what happened with Thyaga and with why our other ideas didn't really take off is I still believe to date is that I made one pitch deck the same exact night that I got the idea. I made a pitch deck. I still have the pitch deck also. I shared it with about 10 people, right? I shared it with about 10 people, and those people then spoke to me about it. Okay, it's a cool idea or it's not a cool idea. So people had their criticisms about it as well, which is I was very welcome of, because that was my first version of the idea, right? So that was the first step. I still believe if I didn't take that first step that night, I wouldn't have done it. I still remember, like, I stayed until about 2-3 in the morning. I think I was very excited about this, did a lot of Google search to see what's there, what's not there. And so that's the thing. Most of the time when we want to start something that's not there also.
Yeah.
Right? So I couldn't really find anything that was close to this. So with that, I started Thyaga. Started developing it with the team, made a co-founder team for Thyaga. So with that, we actually took some time to develop it, and then we took it to market. I would say like, if we were to do it now, we could have done it much faster with AI and all of that, but it was back in 2019, 2020-ish where we didn't really know much about this LLMs and all of that. Yeah, we didn't have those rather. So we developed and then we took it to market. Initially, we were thinking of it as a more of a retail idea where like people would gift it, like say you and I could gift each other using Thyaga. But then we evolved it a lot in the later years. So it's still retail, but we do a lot of corporate related services. A lot of HR people use our vouchers for their staff, and marketing people use our vouchers for their corporate customers. So we have specific services for these customer segments to make their life easier. So going back, I think it was the first pitch deck that changed my entire direction. I was still working. I was working for about 2 years after that. And one thing I did was I actually went to my boss also and told, hey, I have this idea. What do you think of me doing it? Which he was very supportive of as well, and he got the support of his bosses and all of that. Because when you're in the software industry, and when you want to develop other software, that's one piece of advice. Always tell your seniors and see if they are supportive, see if you can get some support from them, and also it's a matter of disclosing it, right, rather than keeping it a secret. Because one thing is sometimes you kind of represent the company in certain places also. So I thought it was the most ethical thing to do was to tell them, and then get their it was a blessing for me because I got a lot of support from them. And with that, we really started, we started Thyaga in 2020 in December. So that was it. Like,
very interesting how Thyaga came about from a small idea that seeded a thought within Sachin, and how it now has grown and evolved into a company that works with more than 100 brands, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting and very cool to know. So something we'll take it from there, Sachin. How important is it for an individual out there looking out for an opportunity? Where should they start looking at filling gaps? Because you found a gap that was in the market, in a sense, and you tried to solve that problem. How can you sort of, without an idea or without any backing to it, how would you go on about finding a problem, trying to solve it, or finding a gap and trying to solve it? How would you go about it if you started it now, and if with the knowledge that you have, how would you give an advice to an entrepreneur that will start out today?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is be very vigilant. You have to be very, very observant of what's happening around you. Because every time you step into the road, there are so many problems in Sri Lanka. So that's one of the blessings of being in this country. So if you are in a developing country, or people call it an underdeveloped country, right? You have so many problems.
Yeah.
It's not like you are in the USA where like thousands of problems have been solved and you have nothing to actually do. Even they are coming up with innovations, right? But in Sri Lanka, we are still in this primitive stage of solving these problems. Like you get into a bus, you have like 1,000 things to digitize in it, right? If you get into a road, like say all of that, we do have problems everywhere. So for entrepreneurs, this is a heaven for entrepreneurs. Like you can build so many things. So that's what I love about this country. So make use of that, right? So in this country, there are so many problems to solve. It's just that you need to keep an eye on what to solve. And one second thing would be, some of these problems won't bring you $1 million in day one, right? So what I think is that if you are not driven by money but driven by the purpose of solving this. Now for me, what happened is I got this problem on like a silver platter. Right? It was right in front of me. I was given a gift voucher. I was like, it was like God given, right? But with that, I kept on thinking, like, why can't I solve this? Why can't I be the one to solve it? So like that, I'm sure, like, I'm not the only one to get a gift voucher, right?
Exactly.
Like all of us have gotten. So there are so many problems. You just have to be observant, and we tend to do this mistake of not talking about our ideas with people.
Very important
Right?
point.
Yeah, we think, okay, they are going to steal it. I can't tell you my idea. You are going to do it. That is BS, right? So you have to talk about your idea with people. Then only it gets refined. I think if I did my first steps right, that was one thing that I did right. So I kind of told my idea to everyone. I was very open about it. This is something that I'm going to work on. So with that, I got a lot of feedback on it. People were helping. But on the other hand, I know a lot of people who have a lot of like even better ideas. Right? They're just sitting on it without talking to anyone on it about it, and what they'll do is they'll do some research. Then you also forget about it, right? And how many such ideas do we not implement? So in my opinion, an idea is just like, say, it's useless if you don't implement it or if you don't execute it, because like looking into these 4 years, what I see is from then to now has been a lot of challenges. So even if I share the pitch deck with the world now, I don't know if there would be enough, like say, if there would be an impact for Thyaga, because these lot of challenges we came through it, right? So that's one. And I think if I give you another advice, it would be that you have to create your environment to become an entrepreneur, right? So you can't be the only person, like say in your family, in your friend circle, in your like say maybe office or wherever, in your society, who wants you to be an entrepreneur, right? So you need to have that backing. You need to have the backing of your parents or your family, your like say significant other or whoever. right? Because without that you can't. Because let's say if you are on a salary, and if without that salary you can't go for 6 months by being an entrepreneur, then you're in a very tough position. Might as well not do it, right? So you need to have some sort of financial like backing. At least you save and then have some. That's only finances, but there's a lot of other aspects to think if you actually want to become an entrepreneur. So that's like your time and effort is going to go for this, and you will actually step out of at some point you will step out of a very probably a lucrative career, right? So that's one decision I also had to take. I actually delayed it a bit until Thyaga was like kind of able to do at least a bit on its own. But even when I stepped out, Thyaga wasn't like even ready to pay my salaries, right? So like that. But for me, I had the backing of my parents because I had told them that this is what's going to happen, and they had their concerns, right? But luckily they were somewhat supportive. They were like, so you have to have that. I see a lot of people struggling just because of that. So, and you need to be mentally prepared as well. I'm getting into this, I might lose everything else. And you might like say, your friends have to be ready. On the other hand, like being an entrepreneur, you will not, even though you will not have the freedom as your working colleagues have. Even though people say, okay, it's freedom, all of that, that's so not true. You'll be working day and night for your startup to succeed. Even though people say, okay, I hate 9 to 5 and I'm going to be an entrepreneur. If you hate 9 to 5, don't become an entrepreneur. You are working 24/7, right? All 365 days. You'll have to, at least in the first few years, or some people do it for decades. That's not my wish, but some people do. So that is one. So financially ready, your family and friends have to be ready to kind of let you do this by yourself. You have to be ready yourself. You have to know what you're getting into. Of course, these kind of things depend on the kind of business that you're doing also. Like say, service industry might be different, building products will be different. So I'm particularly talking about tech entrepreneurship because that's kind of my background. But let's say, and let me kind of differentiate with service industry and products also. Services mean you will have clients to pay you all the time. And some people start service related companies because you have a client.
Yeah.
Then the life will not be as tough as what I'm talking about, right? But if you're building a product, you'll have to go and get your clients, right? So that will be a hard part, as you'll have to have enough revenue coming in. You'll have to have enough people to do the jobs, right? So all of that you can build it eventually,
yeah.
But at some point you have to have it. So you need to prepare a lot of things to become an entrepreneur. Just because like you wake up one day and think, okay, I hate my job, I hate 9 to 5, I hate my boss, then like I would say not to become an entrepreneur if you hate your boss also, right? Because you'll probably meet hundreds of people like your boss, right? When you are an entrepreneur throughout your journey. So if you can't really work with people, I would say to learn working with people and then start, because that will be hard. Of course, you can learn on the job, so not a problem. But ideally, these are a few steps that you should follow. Other than that, be fast to fail fast, right? So do things that if you think, okay, is there a tendency to fail, just try it. Right. So one example would be so Thyaga to what we have as a product now, from the start to today, we have evolved a lot, right? So from at the starting point, we spent about 6 to 9 months maybe building a product that of which we didn't actually use about 80%. Right. So that, like, we were also learning. We learned this the hard way, right? So of that product, we didn't use a lot, but so we kind of failed there, but we evolved, right? So we didn't give up. We did a kind of pivots in the product and all of that.
Found a way out.
Yeah,
of it.
found a way out of it. So if you think something is going to fail, like, might as well do it soon and then just keep measuring if you're failing.
So either it happens or it doesn't.
Yeah, that's what. So, like, don't keep contemplating, right? So should we do it? Should we do it? Should we do it? Just do it and then you're done.
Very interesting.
So that was one other thing. Yeah. So a lot of things actually can't really boil down. One other thing is, Minidu, entrepreneurs will figure their way. Every entrepreneur has their way, right? I don't think there's like a playbook. There will never be a playbook that works for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. So my playbook, my method will not work for you. It will work differently for you. So that's what I figured all this, like, years of doing it. Yeah. So first is to know what you're getting into and have the plan, which I didn't actually. So I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. Right?
That's interesting.
Because I was in the industry, I was doing well also. And once I got this, I really wanted to do it because of my background, also because I always wanted to do something, and I always thought, like, say, that's my purpose. I want to create things, and, like, say, in the job, I didn't see myself creating that impact, at least in Sri Lanka and all of that, because I was doing really interesting things, but I wasn't creating that impact in Sri Lanka and my surroundings. Right? It was like, say, software engineering itself is a very interesting job, because you create things, you see it, and your customers are happy and all of that. So, but that was it for me.
So yeah, very interesting story of being an accidental entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And a lot of advice on how you should get started, why preparation is important, and quite the contrast to one of the speakers we've had, I think a colleague of yours as well, Nevan, where he sort of pivoted in taking all that risks without having that backing. So contrasting elements of it, but very interesting to know.
Yeah.
So if you viewers are enjoying this conversation and is interested learning through this conversation, through Sachin and other speakers, please go ahead and subscribe our channel for more content like this. Like and comment your favorite moment from this episode, and we'll be coming back with more and interesting topics for you. Getting back into the conversation. So now we've come into this point of being an accidental entrepreneur. How can a person assess themselves and see where they're at and to take those risks? As you said, you had the backing of your parents, you had the sort of net to fall on in case you flop, but there could be people watching out there that might not have that backing. So for a person like that, what sort of a strategy would you recommend or advise on to look at to build their own backing or their own net to fall on in case something goes wrong? Because it's important taking risks, right? So in order to prepare for that, what would you think?
Yeah, so even though I had the parents backing, it was more of the emotional support, and also whenever I fell down really low financially, I might have gone to them. But I did have to collect money to, like, finances were mostly on myself, right? So what I did for the first 2 years of after starting Thyaga was I was working and pumping that money to pay salaries in Thyaga.
Really?
Right. So that's why I was working, because when I had started Thyaga and after the first few months itself, I was full on into it. So I felt as if there's no going back. I'm not going to excel in this career after this, because I was fully engaged in Thyaga. I saw a lot of potential in it. So me and my co-founder, both of us, why we were working, the purpose of working was to fund Thyaga.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we did. So we were putting maybe 80-90% of our salaries into Thyaga and Thyaga only. So that's one thing. So we were working. So if you are working, that's something you can do. So if your main purpose is to build something, you can use your salaries or your kind of finances and also plan it out. So when I was leaving, I created a small safety net for me to live for a few months. So that's very important, because why now Thyaga is a bootstrap startup. We didn't go and ask for money from an investor and raise $100 million or whatever. So the life as bootstrap startup founders is very hard in general. That's why founders go for investment, because then life becomes easier. You have the resources you need to build a startup. So we didn't have it, so we were creating it on our own, because we wanted to do this so badly. So what I did was, I was working for 2 years. I funneled that money to Thyaga, and when there came a point that I thought, okay, so this is going to be it, I'm taking that risk and jump into Thyaga, where I'll even go salaryless. I think I was working without a salary for about 1 year. Right.
Really?
Yeah, for more than a year also, I think. Yeah, more than a year. Maybe
that's the case of a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, maybe 1.5 years to 2. So with that, so you have to be ready for that. So I also created a small safety net. So that finances is key. You have to have some financial backing. Either go for investment or either have your own funds to have that backing. The other thing is, have a set of co-founders, right? So people that you can rely on, because without that you're on your own. It's very hard, because you don't even have anyone to run your ideas through or share your, say whenever something fails, you need to have people that you can share it with, and they'll also have the same hunger to do what you're doing, same vision or same purpose. So with that, they'll also help you, because all of us want to go there.
Yeah.
So I was lucky to have that also. So I always had people that I considered as partners and all of that. So they kind of helped us, we helped ourselves through. That is very important as well. So other than that, yes, and so there are also, we got a seed fund grant from the government back then. It was 1.5 million. I think that program is still there. It's called ICTA Spiralation.
Right.
So we always we always complain about not having support in this country, right? But there was support for us. It wasn't a huge amount of money, but we were able to, back then, from what our expenses were, we were able to run for a certain amount of time with that money. So there is support out there like that as well. And grants are given without any equity pledge, right? So that is also that was also helpful. I think that is it. I think it's mostly about preparing yourself. And once you are prepared and once you know what you're going for, I think you can do it.
So having it planned out and sort of looking into what are the risks that you're looking at and how to face them in case it happens.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yeah. One other thing to add is to kind of measure, right? So if it is say, have your own flagpole, right? Have your own milestone. If I'm not achieving it by then, then you have to take a decision, right? So be ready to take the decision also, because at the end of the day, you are a person, your startup is it's different, right? So at some point it has to bring some return to you, right? And you have to feel that it will. So that's how you start believing in it, right? You don't kind of believe in the product. Okay, this product is so good, this is my baby. It's like that, right? Startups are like your baby. It's like it's built with your sweat and blood, so you want to keep it, like say it's like it's in a cradle, and then like
Secure
it all of that. So don't think of it as your baby and you're going to safeguard it. You're not going to shut it down. You're not going to change it. This is my idea. This is my golden idea. I want to do it, even though like I have only this amount of customers. Like there's like say you get that feeling, right? So go for opportunities. Go for opportunities that you can guide your startup through. Then I think you can do it, right?
Very interesting. So coming back to Thyaga, so you sort of told us how you sort of brought it up and got some co-founders and started building it because you guys were hungry. You wanted to get this out and for this to succeed. So coming into that story again, tell us a bit more about how you guys, so after the initial startup process, how did you guys try and scale it? How did you grow your business? How did Thyaga come to a place where you work with 150 plus stores now? It's not an easy task if you talk this, because there's a lot of things to manage, a lot of customers to manage, a lot of agents or whomever you're working with to manage. So how did you scale up Thyaga from that initial bit to where you are now? How did that process occur?
Yeah, so okay. So getting merchants, to be specific, like say, I went and got the first merchants. So for a very long time, I was getting the merchants. And then once we had a few merchants, once we launched, and then I went and got I and our co-founders together, we went and got the first customers also, right? So that I think also is very important, knowing everything about your company, all the processes. I remember even Pick Me founders back then, they mentioned that they went in Tux to understand what the feeling is, right? They apparently sold their cars, right? So like that, so I also did that. Like we went into merchants as customers, right? To see how the experience is. Because first few maybe years was very hard, because this was a novel concept. Nobody was used to it, neither the customers nor the merchants, right? So because we went and told them, okay, there is a gift voucher like this, and we told the customers also, okay, hey, the merchants are ready, you can go. So but it doesn't really like fall into place just because you tell everybody this is how it works necessarily. Correct. So we kind of had to put a lot of effort into it. So I went and trained merchants, the cashiers, and so like that you'll have to do a certain things and wear multiple hats at the start. So my co-founders say, like, even we did janitorial work in the offices also. That's like that's a very cliche thing everybody says that they do, right? Like so we've actually done it. Like going back, I would prefer like if we didn't waste our time doing all that, right? But unfortunately we did, because we were also learning, right? So I would say first thing is learn by wearing those different hats in your company. So then you know what kind of work it takes to do all of that, each and every role in your company, each and every pillar at least. Then get people and scale your team. So in getting people and scaling your team, it sounds very easy, right? Like to say, okay, get people, like
hire a bunch of people, delegate the work.
Yeah, it sounds very easy, right? But also what's hard is getting people itself, getting the right people is hard. And learning to delegate is also hard, especially from coming from wearing all of that hats to delegating. To learning to delegate is going to be very, very hard.
And even managing them.
Right? So that was challenging for us as well, because as founders we were wearing multiple hats, and the people initially came to kind of assist us to wear those hats. So we were kind of doing the job, but there was people to kind of assist, right? So it's like you're driving, but there's actually like a co-driver to give you, like, show you the way, and like, so like in the rally,
Assistant driver.
assistant driver. So but what you'd realize later down the lane is that you need a driver, and you need to just chill and like do your other
Part of
work.
it,
Part of, like, let's say you'll figure out where to go, rather than you driving and telling
You give them direction.
you give them direction.
Yes.
So that was very hard for us. We still have that challenge, I think, because imagine coming from doing everything, all the knowledge is in you, right? All the necessary, like, let's say the access in the systems, everything is within you, right? And so that becomes a challenge. But once you have the right team, you need to place your trust in them and start giving them enough and more opportunities to learn and also do things on their own. So kind of empowering them. You need to empower them to do and take responsibility of the whole pillar or the task. So that is something we keep on like working on now. So I think in the journey that must have helped. And if anything was kind of lacking in our journey or delaying it, it would have been us not like properly delegating from the start and wearing all those hats and keeping it for ourselves. This I heard is a mistake that a lot of founders do, right? Because everything's concentrated on you. And
you forget that there are people that help you.
Yeah, that's what you forget. That you think that they are just to help you, but you forget that they can actually do things on their own and on your behalf. So you should be able to take like a week off, right?
And still let the business run.
Yeah, business run, and most importantly, grow.
Very important point.
So there is something called founder-led sales. They say a founder is the best person to sell. You like have to be your number one salesperson, right? So once the founder-led sales period is over, because you can't, if you want to grow, you can't be in the founder-led sales forever.
Yeah.
So you need to build a sales team. But once that sales team is taking over, that transition period will be very hard for you, because it's not going to be the same. That sales team is not going to bring the same amount of results, same results that you did as a founder.
At least in the initial stages.
In the initial stages. So with that, it's going to be hard for you emotionally, and hard for the numbers, maybe, hopefully not. So hopefully not hard on the numbers, but it's going to be a transition. So in that transition, you have to be ready. You have to be ready to give certain things, and your aim in that sense would be to take a week off and let your company grow.
I think that's something very important that you mentioned, growing. While even you're in vacation, you're on vacation, the company still needs to grow.
Of course.
I think something that we've heard is like you should, as an entrepreneur or as an owner, you should be able to take a break but still let the business flow. But you brought in a very important point, growing. So that's very important for any entrepreneur out there that wants to sort of know the secrets behind it. Stay tuned. There's more coming from Sachin. So Sachin, coming back into Thyaga, I think one of the biggest issues that you must have had is introducing a new product, a novel product, as you mentioned, to the market, not just the customers, because this product not only serves the customers, it also helps the merchants as well. So how hard was it to launch this into the market, to convince merchants and customers to use your product, and guide us through the process that you went through to get Thyaga where it is today?
Yeah, so the merchants weren't really ready at the start. So we had to do a lot of convincing at the start, because one thing was we were not a funded startup. So we didn't have ourselves in billboards or in TV advertisements, or in fact not even on Facebook properly, right? So they had to kind of believe me. So I said, when I went, okay, I said, okay, this is our concept, this is our plan. Why don't you be a part of this platform? So only thing that they had, the only source of information about Thyaga until then for them was me and my merchant acquisition guys. So that must have been very hard for them. Say, if I was in their shoes, I don't know why they would believe in such, in people like that. So, but luckily there were a few who believed in me, right? Who believed that we can do things.
Who was your first merchant?
It was ISO. Thank you, Apinash, for that. Yes, it was ISO. So I still remember calling him, and how that was not the first merchant call, right? So we were calling a lot, and then that was the first merchant to get on board.
Or the conversion happened.
Or the first conversion rather. So he was very supportive, right? So, but that's the thing. So one thing is, I think you have to try through your 3 Fs: friends, family, and fools, right? So I think I found a connection to Apinash, and then through that we went and spoke to him. So like that, if you're on your own and if you are taking a concept, always try this, try connections and try going through those connections to get, because otherwise it's going to be really hard. With a novel concept, there is no reason why somebody should believe in you when you have when you have a very novel concept that is not there in currently, and especially when you don't have revenue. Why would someone spend their time and energy in partnering with you?
Yeah.
So you have to get in that shoes. So if you are still going, you can still call and get merchants without connections, and even get customers without connections also. But that takes a lot of convincing. So be ready to do that also. So just don't be like, hey, I have this platform. Just you can get on board. They'll never get on board with you. So try to do that convincing by yourself. That's how you learn also. So there's a lot of sales effort that you'll have to do there. So the other thing was even to get our first customers, right? So we went and told them, okay, we have these merchants, and then why don't you try our service out? And I think customer care was also
key part of it.
Yeah, was a very key part of it, because doing a platform, like you said, we are sandwiched in between merchants and customers. So the service that merchants give will also be seen as a part of the service of Thyaga. So you have to kind of make sure in front of the customer, the service from buying a voucher to redemption is smooth. So there is a lot of effort that we took at the merchants also, especially during the initial days, to kind of have that experience together. So customer care was key, and for the, I think, first 1 or 2 years, I was handling all the customer care calls with my co-founder.
Another hat.
Yeah, another hat. Don't wear all of these hats if you have the luxury of not wearing them.
True.
Right? But we didn't have that luxury. So we didn't have the money to hire a lot of people for all of these different aspects of the business. So we were wearing so many hats, and that was a part of the learning also, because I think up to date, me and my co-founders will be the best people to handle a customer in our company.
Through all that experience.
Because we know how to handle even a difficult customer. Right now we have amazing talent who can do it in the company as well. But we are somewhat not being customer service professionals. can
Established
humbly
yourself,
say
yeah.
can humbly say that we are somewhat there as well. So that is one. And I think I forgot the question. What was it?
It was how big a challenge was to sort of get your first few customers, get your first few merchants,
Right.
and because it's a novel product and you introduced it recently, how did you get them on board? Basically, that's the question.
Yeah, so interesting things happen, right? Like say, when I was handling these customer care calls, we automatically converted them to some of our long-lasting clients. Right? So whenever, like, let's say, they had a question about Thyaga. When we started talking to those customers, they kind of started believing in you. And some of these customers are working with me for these 4 or 5 years. And I still handle some of these clients, like, because they've been a key part of the business. From like day one, they've believed in me and the team. So like that, once you become the face, also it becomes like, say, you unlock more opportunities than like the rest of the team in initial stages would, right? Because it's your business and you and your co-founders will be hungry to kind of drive it, or like they'll have the hustle mentality or whatever that's called. So that is one. And then so you would, like, if you feel like
It's about putting in the work. Basically,
it was hard work, and be a little strategic also. So wherever you can leverage, use that opportunities to go and get that extra mile for the business. For example, Thyaga is mostly corporate and retail also, right? So during the initial days, we were leveraging on our corporate business to get retail customers. That was our go-to market. If somebody asked, okay, how do you plan to go to like retail? We were lucky to have the corporate clients who gifted their employees, and the employees were buying Thyaga because our service was so good and they loved the product and the platform. So that way, like,
so that expanded into where the employees would then take it up on themselves to get the vouchers.
Correct. It was more word of mouth in the initial days.
I think that's still one of the best ways to market your products, right? Word of mouth, because that comes with trust.
Yes, that's it.
Comes with a lot of backing.
Yeah, because like for them, their company trusted Thyaga, and then the employees got it. Then the employees got for their friends and family. So like that, we still have a lot of customers coming in that way.
And I think having a good customer retention rate is very important to a business. And I believe through what you've sort of spoken today, it's evident that good customer service, having a brilliant product, and giving that whole experience to the customers is very important in sustaining a business. Because if you fail at a point where you'd say you're not good at customer service or your product is faulty, the retention rates would be low, you won't come back. So I think that's very interesting to understand.
To add to that, I think I still remember how one of the first few customers actually wanted to slap me, probably, right? They say, the first customer would have to slap you. So that's how you get things right. For the first customer, you wouldn't have.
Give a bit of insight into that. How did that go?
Because the first customer, this is actually a corporate client, right? And they had imagined Thyaga in a different way than what you are selling.
So misunderstanding.
A proper misunderstanding, and an entire team had bought Thyaga vouchers by themselves, like paying and themselves. So then they called me, hey, is this not how it works? Then I had to say, no, this is not. So this is how it works. But we kind of like helped them through that, and they became our like long-lasting clients. But yeah, so I would they were frustrated and they probably wanted to slap me at that point. So
right, so you understanding the situation, then managing it is the key. So very interesting things to learn as young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that's still starting out, to manage those situations, to build those relationships. Coming into relationships, how important is networking to you, to your company, and as individuals, as an entrepreneur, basically, how important is it?
That's something I think I also didn't have at the start. So like say, I also didn't know how important networking was. Because like say, I obviously come from like a tech background, like I said, and didn't really think, okay, these networks or this kind of like talking to people and like getting help from them or helping them rather would bring anything for the business. Because in my mind, it was all, okay, let's build this and somehow miraculously it would get solved. That was our thinking, right? We were thinking, okay, let's build it, and then
it'll sort things out.
It will sort things out. Once we launch this, we are going to earn now millions. It never happened, right? So it took the first few events, right? So there's a lot of startups events in this country, or there was a lot. I'm assuming in the future also there's going to be a lot, because in Sri Lanka right now is like startups are heavily trending, right? There is a lot of backing for startups. People want to help to bring up entrepreneurs, because like I said, a lot of problems to solve. And I think as a country also we want to build up more startups in this country, even the government and the non-governmental bodies, everything. So luckily there were so many events for us to go to and network. So I made sure that I attended all of these events, and just go up and talk to people and introduce yourselves, and like try to, like, it's not always a sales talk.
It's just trying to understand.
It's trying to understand them and trying to have a casual chat with people without expecting anything in return. Right? You just say, hey, this is what I do, so what do you do? Right? So like that, just talk to them, and at some point it will, like say, they'll help you and you can help them. So I think, like, if you take the startup community in Sri Lanka, it's very, like say, in at least in Colombo, like we all know each other. The startup community, most of us know each other. That's because we've been in so many events, so many networks together, WhatsApp groups, everything. We are like friends now. So there are also events that are only for networking, where you can like go and network. There are networking kind of clubs that you can go to. So
shout out to Spike.
Of course, that's what I'm a part of, right? Thank you for giving that. I was also thinking, like, should I mention Spike or not? Cool. Spike is like an awesome place to network. That's our purpose, right? Why we do Spike is for people to come and network. That's the most interesting part. So it's a community-driven event that we kind of want to do for entrepreneurs, so that they can learn things from other entrepreneurs and also come and network freely, very casually, right? So so Spike would be an awesome place that like we do monthly, on a monthly basis, to come and network. Other than that, there are so many other events also. So just go and like talk to them. I know it will be hard in the first few events. You might be shy and all of that. That always happens. But just go and do it, and don't expect it to be a sales talk. Just go and network. It will turn out to be well. So that was it. And just think of it as just another conversation.
Talking or meeting a new friend, in sense.
Just like it's always a new friend. It's always getting to know about somebody's business.
It's not just a business transaction, but you're making a relationship.
That's it helps that way.
So as time is coming to an end, are there any final thoughts, any advice that you want to give to an entrepreneur? Doesn't have to be young, doesn't have to be old, can be an entrepreneur at any stage or any age. It's just about having that idea, I believe, and fueling it and having that fire within you to sort of build it. So any final advice, anything they want to say to our audience?
I would say just do it. Right? Because that was a key turning point for me. If I had not made that first presentation that night, I wouldn't have still done it. Right? So that kind of turned my life around. Yeah. So just do it, even if it's a small step. Just do it and see if it works. So if you have an idea, maybe you can build it as a service or a product. Or else, if you know somebody that you can help as a client, then you can do like a service for them. If you see somebody's business needing like digital marketing services, you can go up to them and say, hey, I think I can help you, right? Let me do this for you. That might change everything for them and for you. Right?
Could be a turning point.
Right? So just think that way. Just think of doing something that, like, irrespective of it being a turning point or not, just do things that you kind of want to do in the path that you want to do, want to go in rather. So that way, I think you actually might be getting closer to your dream. One thing, you're not just sitting on it, right? You're executing something.
It's true.
Right? On the direction that you want to go. So that way, I think it becomes very easier, because either you're getting experience, or you're earning money, or you're building a brand or a team or a company. It's in the right direction, right? So that would be my number one
advice,
or the only advice, because just by doing that, you learn a lot of things. Get started. You're fueled to do it. If you have co-founders, they also want to do it. If you have customers, you're accountable for them, so you're automatically doing it, right? So like that, you are in the game. You just have to get into the game, right? And then you'll figure things out, because whatever I say doesn't matter if you are going to listen to 100 other startup talks or founder talks and you're not really taking a step in that direction.
It's true.
Right?
Waste.
Yeah, it's a waste, right? Because there will be a lot of people who know more about entrepreneurship than I do. I started this without knowing anything. So just start, you'll learn your things on your way. So
figure things out.
Yeah, you figure things out.
Thank you so much for joining GEPic Journeys, and I think our listeners learned a lot about you, Thyaga, and how to sort of start this out, how ideas come about, what to look out for, scaling a business, very important point, and finally about how to sort of get started and give you that motivation to get started in your own path. So thank you, viewers, for listening in today and taking your time to watch this episode fully and listen to Sachin speak about his journey and his challenges throughout. Stay tuned, there's more where this came from, and we'll be putting out more content for you to learn, for you to flourish, and for you to get where you want to go in your life. So subscribe, like, and comment your favorite moment from today's episodes, and we'll see you soon.